Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Intentional Man Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Luttrell. Hey guys, beginning today, we're starting a series on what it means to be healthy. When we talk about health, we go to what we think constitutes a healthy and strong body. And for some people, that might be big muscles or, the ability to run for hours, or maybe having the perfect figure, or following a strict diet, youthful appearance, just a variety of different things that may come to mind for you when you think about health. And all of these things may have some value. It's not that those things aren't important, but does that really define what it means to be healthy? So in this episode, we're going to begin to define a basic understanding of true health and how we can measure where we fall kind of on the spectrum. How healthy are we right now? Because you may be a man who's worked out for years. You may be someone who follows a strict diet, and that's great. Others of you who are listening may have done that in the past, but have kind of fell off and maybe not as healthy as you used to be. So I think one of the most important things we need to do when trying to live a healthy life or restart that habit is to look at where we are now, to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, where am I? How healthy am I currently? But sometimes that can be kind of a hard target to hit. Say, well, I don't really know what that means. So again, that's what we're going to be talking about in this series. And just kind of an upfront disclaimer, I am a certified personal trainer, but I am not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional. So, if you're listening to this podcast, you say, hey, I want to start working out, I want to start making some changes, I would encourage you, check in with your doctor, make sure it's safe, make sure you don't have anything going on. But definitely would be a great move to begin implementing some of the things that we're going to be talking about if you're not already, so that you can live a healthy and strong and long life. And also, if you'd like to follow some of the people that we listen to in regard to physical health, I encourage you to check out Dr. Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andy Galpin, Dr. Matt Walker. These guys, I'm getting some of the information I'm going to be sharing has come from them. They're a wealth of information, done lots of studies, and can really help us better understand what it means to be healthy. So, number one, let's just dig in and begin to figure out, what does it mean for our body to be in a state of health? What does that even mean? Well, the World Health Organization says being healthy is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So right away, we see that being healthy is not just one thing. It's not just being strong. It's not just having good cardiovascular endurance. It's not only being free of disease. It encompasses life in general. It's our physical, it's our mental, it's our social well-being. So as men, we do have to begin to look at a more holistic approach to our health. What does our life in general look like? How are our relationships? How are we spiritually? All of those things matter when it comes to health. And one of the things I want to point out right away is health is not simply a lack of disease. It's also the ability to do things. What can we do? What are we capable of? And not just now, but what do we want to be capable of in the future? What are your goals? If you're 20, what do you want to be able to do when you're 40? If you're 40, what do you want to be able to do when you're 60, 70, 80, and so on? Setting target goals out there so that you've got something to shoot for. So many times we can find ourselves just so busy with life that days and months and years go by without us really focusing on our health, the things that are important, and we could find that it slips away. We may used to have been able to run a mile and not even thought about it, or bench 225 and not even broke a sweat. And you go to try to do that now, and you find that it's very difficult or maybe impossible. So what is it? What does it mean to be healthy? And what do you want to be able to do in life? Do you want to be able to go for that hike when you're older? Do you want to be able to carry your groceries up a couple flights of stairs? Do you want to be able to stand on one foot and put on your socks and shoes without falling over? Those types of things. It's a lifestyle. I'll give you an example. If you think about a healthy family or a healthy organization or a healthy team of any sort. Think about what that looks like. It's not just one thing. It's this organization, this team, and this family working together. All of the areas work together in order to be healthy and move forward as a healthy organization to get things accomplished. And in our body, it's the same general way. We have to be healthy physically. We have to be healthy mentally. We have to be healthy spiritually. We have to be healthy relationally, because that's what creates that healthy lifestyle that we're looking for. We want to be able to go through life, enjoy life. Not that life's going to be easy. And in fact, being diligent in our health is not an easy task. It takes being intentional, but it pays dividends. It allows us to better enjoy life, to better enjoy our relationships, and to not only live longer, but it allows us to enjoy life longer. So let's look at some of the areas just quickly that have to do with our health. Number one, we need to have a healthy physical body. And that's a lot of times, again, that's what we go to when we think about health. Am I free of disease? How good do I feel? How strong am I? A healthy physical body is important, but it includes things that you may not always think about. It includes healthy organs. It includes healthy joints. Of course, your cardiorespiratory system needs to be healthy. And then yes, your muscular system needs to be healthy. Another area is your mental health. How well do you manage stress? Is anxiety in your life minimal? And do you have a proper view of yourself and those around you? What's your mental health like? Another is your lifestyle. Is your lifestyle healthy? Do you have a good diet? Do you eat right, or do you tend to eat fast food a lot? And when you eat out, what are you eating? Do you get adequate sleep? Do you get adequate exercise? And are you aware of the influences around you? What are you surrounded by? Are they positive influences? Are they influences that are maybe pushing you the wrong direction? And then finally, this is kind of an add-on that you may not find everywhere, but I'm going to say, as a Christian man, I believe that's very important for us. In fact, of utmost importance for us to be healthy spiritually. There needs to be not only an acknowledgement and a belief in God, but we need to be pursuing a relationship with Him. And you may do that through, church attendance and having personal devotions, prayer time, but beyond that, even realizing that you were created for a purpose, that you are not just here to take up space on this planet for the amount of years that you're here, but you were created for eternity, that you will always exist. You're never going to cease to exist. You're here for a purpose, to glorify God and to use the things, the talents and the influence you have here. You're here for a reason. So being spiritually healthy, having an awareness of those things, giving those things time in your life, because it's so easy, guys, for us to get bogged down and wrapped up in the day-to-day stuff. And it's easy to ignore the spiritual because it's not seen. So much of that, we talk about a relationship with God. We can easily see the relationship we have with the people at our jobs, or, definitely our spouse and our children. We see those relationships. We talk to them, we hug them, we greet them, we interact with them. With God in our spiritual relationship, it can be a little different because we don't see God physically, but that doesn't change the fact that He's there and that He wants a relationship with us. So again, that spiritual health includes pursuing that relationship with God, being aware that that is a critical relationship for us, not just for now, but for all eternity. So let's take a look at the healthy physical body, and let's look at the different pieces of what's important when it comes to our health in our physical body. We mentioned a few of them earlier. One of them was organ health. And we're just going to do a brief overview today. Again, we're not diving in. We're not looking at these things in great detail and how can we have healthy organs and all these things. We're going to cover them briefly today, and then we'll dive in deep in later episodes. But today, again, let's start with organ health. How do we know that our organs are healthy? And does it even matter? Of course, yes, it matters. It matters that our organs are healthy. But how does it impact us? So one of the things I want to do is we go through each of these today, and we're just going to focus on our healthy physical body today, and we'll get into the others in the coming episodes. I said earlier that we should have goals of what we want to be able to do in the future. So for me, I'm 48 right now. When I'm 75, 85 years old, I still want to be able to go hiking. We have a small farm. I still want to be able to put up a fence if I need to. These are things that I still want to be able to do comfortably, even in my older age. So what does that look like? What do I have to do now in order to make sure I'm fit enough at that point to be able to do those things? It's not going to be impossible for me to do those things. It is possible for an 85-year-old guy to go on a hike, to put up fence, to do those types of things, to carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs, whatever it is, whatever your goals are. It's not impossible for those things to happen, but we're not going to get there without being intentional with it. We're not going to get there by sitting on the couch, by being sedentary, by just relaxing all the time. We're going to have to put in some effort in order to be able to do those things. So as we walk through these things, beginning with organ health, we're also going to look at how these things will impact my ability to be able to do those things at an older age. And we'll use hiking as an example as we go through, because that's just an easy one. I enjoy hiking. I grew up in Virginia in the mountains and used to really enjoy going up on the mountains, checking out a waterfall, hiking a trail. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do that as much anymore because I live in South Carolina. It's pretty flat down here, but I still love that. And I still want to be able to do that when I'm older. All right, so organ health, how is that going to affect me? Well, when you think about your organs, the body's organs are really what keeps everything functioning properly, moving through the body. You have your heart that's pumping the blood, the lungs that are drawing in the oxygen and breathing out the carbon dioxide, and all the other organs just doing their thing to purify blood and this digestive system, all of those things, right? So how do we know that our organs are healthy? Well, with the organs, sometimes it's not as obvious as it may be with other things, like maybe muscle health or joint health, things like that we're going to talk about. But there are tests that could be done to check to see if your organs are operating well. And I would say, as you get older, it would probably be good to have those blood tests drawn and checked just to see how you're doing. But aside from that, you can also just keep an eye on your body. How do you feel if you're experiencing weakness, if you're having irregular bowel movements, different from what you had in the past, or if you have pain that's kind of unexplained, then those are some maybe red flags that you need to pay attention to and make an appointment with your doctor just to talk it through with him, see what he thinks about it. Maybe they'll run some tests just to confirm that everything's okay, or maybe there is something going on that needs to be addressed. But organ health is critical. And let's just think about that briefly. So if I want to be able to go on a 3-hour hike when I'm 75, I need healthy organs. And one of the organs that is going to be extremely important for me to have good health in is my heart. A weak heart will make that activity difficult or even impossible. In fact, it could be very dangerous for me to do something like that if I have a weak or malfunctioning heart. Obviously, you could have a heart attack, or if you have problems with a blood vessel, you could have a stroke. Lots of things could happen. So I want to make sure I have a healthy heart. That's one of my organs. So organ health is important. We want to pay attention to our organ health. We want to pay attention to our body. For guys, if you're like me, whenever a new ache or pain comes up, I like to reason it out. And unfortunately, again, if you're like me, I'll typically give it a few weeks. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to run to the doctor right away. I'm going to see how this is doing over the next few weeks. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. So again, not giving medical advice here. I'm just saying this is what I do. And, most of the time, fortunately for me, the issues seem to go away. So it's probably I'd stressed something or strained something while I was working out or doing something, and it gets back to normal. But we do need to pay attention to our bodies. If something's changing and it doesn't seem to be going back to normal, or you just feel weak and it's an unexplained weakness. I'll give you a quick example. I have a friend who, younger guy, he's in his late 30s. And he was an avid runner, and I mean, he could run circles around me in his sleep. This guy went from being able to run miles to becoming very fatigued at just running 1 mile. So he knew something was wrong, went to the doctor, and they found that he had some issues in his blood work, and they were just kept running tests. They weren't sure what was happening, ran different tests to see what was going on. He was anemic, and they were just trying to figure it out. They thought maybe it was an ulcer. And turned out, though, that he had colon cancer. Now, thank the Lord, they found it. They were able to address it. And after having surgery and going through chemo, he is doing wonderfully. So again, very thankful for that. But he had to have paid attention to his body. If he had ignored that and just said, I'm probably just weak, let me give it some time, let me give it some more time, let me give it a year, it could have been the end of him. So it was critical that he paid attention to his body. So guys, one thing I would say is pay attention to your body. If something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't look right, get it checked out. It is literally, it could be an appointment that saves your life. Okay? So organ health, super important part of our physical health in our body. Number 2, our joint health. So if you think about it, all throughout the day, as we move, our joints are in action. And joint health is important for smooth and coordinated movement. And in most cases, if you've got a joint that's out of whack, you're going to know it because there's probably some pain. I've got an example here, my elbow. It gives me problems periodically because I'll work out and maybe my form won't be perfect on a set or over a few sets. And it'll start to aggravate my elbows. So for the next maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'm kind of nursing that thing to get it back healthy again, putting ice on it and different things, maybe having to reduce the weight of my sets a little bit just till it gets healthy again. So we typically know when something's going on with a joint. But there's some other symptoms that could happen with your joints. And that could be, if you ever wake up and you're stiff in the mornings, as you get older, that's probably going to become more and more common. You wake up and maybe you've got a stiff shoulder, stiff neck, maybe it's your foot or, just something going on with your body. That, again, not out of the ordinary, okay? That's going to happen to a degree as we get older. But if that stiffness, if that achiness isn't subsiding within about 30 minutes or, kind of throughout the morning, that may be something you want to get looked at. Could be something else going on there. If you have swelling around a joint or, definitely if you're experiencing a limited range of motion. The guy I work with has a shoulder issue that he recently went to the doctor with because he literally cannot raise his arm all the way up. He doesn't have that full range of motion anymore. And unfortunately, he was telling me that because it's been so long, there is no way they can fully repair the shoulder. So again, pay attention to your body. If you've got things going on, get them looked at, get them taken care of before it becomes too late for them to make a full repair on that so you get full recovery. You also may notice sometimes, in addition to the swelling, the area may feel almost warm or hot to the touch. So again, there may be some inflammation there that needs to be taken care of. If you're hearing some maybe popping or cracking in the joint, again, with age, you're probably going to notice some of that. But especially if it's uncomfortable, if there's some grinding and things as you move, get that looked at, get it taken care of, because these things, they matter. Our joint health is important, and this is like your shoulder joints, your hip joints, your elbows, knees, ankles, all of the joints in your body, they do matter, and if they're not healthy, you're going to not be able to function and move as well as you should. And obviously, when you think about it, again, projecting out, I'm 75 years old. If I want to be able to do that hike, what type of joint health do I need to have? Am I going to be able to do it with weak, sore, worn out joints? No, probably not. It's going to limit the activity I'm able to do. It's going to make it uncomfortable, maybe even impossible. So I want to pay attention to my joints. I want to have healthy joints. So we're going to be talking about working out shortly, but I want to make sure that when I'm working out, when I'm doing activities, that I'm not overloading or abusing my joints. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of them, that I'm, if something does happen, that, there's a lot of guys when they are lifting weights, they'll say, yeah, my elbow hurts, but I'm just working through the pain. Guys, there's a point where it makes more sense to stop and heal before you continue. So again, care for those joints. Those are the only ones you're getting. Of course, yes, you can get hip replacements and things done, but I tell you, if you could take care of the originals, keep those. Those are what God gave you. Those are well designed. So I encourage you to care for your joints so that they'll last you through your lifetime. Another area that's extremely important that I think a lot of guys really don't focus on and may even feel like, why do we even talk about this? It's a waste of time. But it's in your balance and stability. Now, again, a lot of you may say, well, I learned my balance when I learned to walk when I was a toddler. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. But balance and stability is something that we need to focus on throughout our life. And in fact, as a part of our integrated training that we do, we place a big focus on balance and stability because it makes such a difference. It's an important part of the training routine. Benefits of a strong sense of balance and stability include being able to play sports better. You have better sports performance. You have a better awareness of where your body position is. It's called proprioception, where your body is in the environment, right? So as you step off that curb when it's further down than you thought, you're aware of that and you're able to recover quicker. It gives you better reaction time to that environmental change. As men, the older we get, the more critical it's going to be for us to have a stable sense of balance, good stability in our body. I don't remember the exact stat off the top of my head, but a very large percentage of people who fall in their older age and fracture a hip are likely to die in the next year. I mean, just a large amount. It's scary when you think about it. So how do we avoid even becoming one of those statistics that even fall and break something? Well, it goes back to how stable are we? How good of balance do we have? There was a guy in a men's ministry a few years back that I knew. We were playing a game called Foursquare, and I guess he was probably 65 or so. He was an older guy, and he was playing right along, doing a great job, but he's playing in Crocs, which was mistake number one. But he fell back. I don't know if his Croc caught on the floor or what, but he fell back, landed on his butt, and he broke his hip, which was horrible. Now, thankfully, and I just saw this guy the other day, he made what appears to be a full recovery, but that is not necessarily statistically what happens. A lot of people in their older age who fall and break something end up dying in the next year. And the reason is they're never able to regain the strength that they had prior, and it brings on other issues, and their health just drops off a cliff, basically. So how do we avoid that? Well, we work on our stability and balance throughout our life. We don't just leave it to chance or try to focus on it when we get older. We build it into our sports programs. We build it into our training. It's easy to build in. You can carve out 15 minutes at the beginning of your training session to work on balance and stability. So how do we do that? I mean, incorporate it in. And how do you gauge it? How do you know how good your balance and stability is? Well, there's a couple of easy ways. Number one, tomorrow morning when you're getting dressed for work, stand up, get your sock, and have your shoe by your foot. While standing, pick up one foot, put the sock on, and then bend over, get the shoe, put it on, and tie it, all without putting your foot down. Then do the same with the other foot. If you're able to do that, you've got pretty good balance. Or if you want to do something a little bit easier, just try standing in place on one foot for about 30 to 60 seconds and see how well you do that. Why does it matter? Well, we've talked a little bit about it already, but poor balance can lead to those accidental falls. You're out hiking when you're 70, 75 years old, and especially if you're alone, it's probably not a good idea anyway, but you're alone, you're on the trail, you hit an uneven spot, you hit a tree root, and you fall, and what happens, right? You potentially break something, you're stuck up there. It could be a very bad scenario. So not having that good balance and stability is a horrible thing for you when you get older. On the other hand, you've got good balance and stability. You hit that tree root, you recover quickly, you don't even lose your footing. You put it down just like you did when you were 20, and you keep rolling. So it is critical. It's a critical piece of our training in our physical health. The next one is the importance of agility. And agility is the ability to to adjust quickly, change direction quickly, react quickly. And again, you may not think about this when you think about training, personal training, working out. You may not think about the agility piece of it, but it is important because it allows us, especially as we get older, it's important because it allows us to react to environmental stimuli quickly, to changes in our environment quickly. Now, this is helpful in young people as well. This is not all just about how do we need it or when do we use it or, when we're older, but it's all throughout our adult life. So it's helpful in sports. It helps us with our coordination. It helps with our body control, even our cognition. We're having to process things quickly. As the environment changes, we're processing that change and moving our body to adjust. You think about like an obstacle course. You're running it, especially if you're running it as a timed event. You're running that course and you're having to shift around obstacles, climb over obstacles, doing different things, and you're having to process these things quickly and make these adjustments so that you can reach the finish line in the quickest time possible. So it also helps prevent injury and accidents. Again, going back to the hiking scenario in that tree root, when that tree root's there and your foot hits it and you start to lurch forward kind of in a free fall. Well, when you have that agility, you're able to move quickly, you're able to react quickly, get that other foot out there and catch yourself. Or a rock is rolling down from another hiker and you see it coming and you're able to react quickly to get out of the way. Whereas if you're not agile, you're in shock. You're watching this thing come at you and hopefully it misses you, but you're not able to move quick enough to do anything about it. So you're kind of at the mercy of the falling stone. So we don't want to be at the mercy of our environment. We want to be able to impact the environment and react to the environment around us in a healthy way. There are multiple tests that you can do to test your agility. There's the Illinois test, the agility test. Both of these are tests that kind of like a sports field type test where you're running out, stopping, running left, running right, shuffling, then running back for time, those types of things. But they help you to understand how agile you currently are. Now, again, I would say if you're not trained, if you're just wanting to get into this type of activity, it's not a bad idea. Give your doctor or call your family doctor, say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? Do I need to come in? Should I get a checkup? Or do I have a green light to go ahead and get started? But check in with him first before starting any training programs, just to be sure, him or her, before you get started there. So the next one we'll talk about is our cardiovascular health. And this begins to make a little more sense to most people. Like, okay, yep, I get it. I've heard about this a lot. Most people recognize the need for strong cardiovascular system, but we don't necessarily do the training needed adequately. But cardio health is extremely important. Some of the benefits of cardio health, WebMD says these. You'll have a lowered risk of disease. You'll have a stronger heart and lungs. It'll strengthen your immune system. It'll be easier for you to maintain your weight. You'll have stronger bones and it'll even put you in a better mood. So there's a lot of benefits to being healthy in your cardiovascular fitness. A lot of people think that cardio is for losing weight. Hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to start doing a lot of cardio. Well, it's really not. The main true purpose of cardio is to optimize your body's ability to use that fuel and oxygen to supplement its processes. It's not primarily for weight loss. Now, again, you're burning calories. It can play a role in that, but that's not the goal behind cardio. If you want to measure where you are currently in your cardiovascular health, one of the best tools or one of the best gauges of that is called the VO2 max test. And you can actually go to a clinic that has this testing and they'll put the mask on you and they'll do all these measurements as you exert energy. They'll be able to measure that exactly and let you know what your exact VO2 max level is. But if you just wanted to do it at home, if you got a treadmill or even a safe, relatively level street, you can do what's called the 1 mile walk test or the 1.5 mile run test. There's different ways for you to be able to gauge your VO2 max and have a basic understanding of where you are in that. This is really important. VO2 max is very interesting, and we'll be coming back to this in a later episode, specifically talking about VO2 max because it's such a great indicator of not only your life expectancy, but how much you're going to be able to enjoy the life that you're living, your lifespan, but also they call it the health span. So a lot of time we think about lifespan, that's the number of years we're going to live. When we talk about health span, that's the quality of the health that we experience during the years that we're living. So if you think about it, if you live to be 95 years old, but the last 15 years of your life are miserable, you're bedridden, you're in just pain and always at the doctor, your health span is significantly shorter than your actual lifespan. So the idea is that we take care of our bodies. We're investing in our health. We're investing in the quality of what we're eating and all of those things, because what that's doing is it's actually not just potentially increasing our lifespan. There's no guarantees, but it's not potentially increasing lifespan, but it's also increasing the potential that we're going to experience a greater health span. We're going to enjoy those years as well. We're not just going to live a long time. We're going to have good quality of life longer as well. So one caveat, some people think, especially if they really enjoy lifting weights and they want to be strong, they think that the cardio somehow works against the strength gains that they're going for. And I have had this mindset myself. I totally get it. It can be really frustrating, actually. In fact, recently, I started doing rucking 2 or 3 times a week. And if you've never tried rucking, if you've never done it, it's fabulous. I won't say I enjoy it, but it's good. So it's something that I think is a great thing to put in place. But I did notice that it was becoming more and more difficult for me to actually go up in my weight as I'm working out. So making sure that you're consuming enough calories, I'll just leave it here for now. There is a balance to it. So it's not that you have to choose cardio or strength training, resistance training. There's a balance between the two, and finding that balance where you're still able to put on the strength increases that you're looking for, but also training your cardio, making sure that your heart and lungs are strong. That is just as important. You need both. So it's just understanding both and how they work together and how you need to eat and basically feed the machine so that you're able to accomplish both goals. What are the effects of poor cardiovascular health later in life? So once again, let's go back to our hiking scenario. I'm 75 years old. I have good cardiovascular strength. I've worked on that. I'm healthy. Then I want to be able to do that hike. I'm probably not going to be able to do it as easy as I did when I was 20 or 30 or maybe 40, but I'm going to be able to do it because I've trained for that. I've set that as one of my goals. On the other hand, if I've ignored my cardiovascular health for my adult life and I'm out there and I'm trying to hike up this mountain, especially if I got a pack on my back, it's probably going to wear me out pretty quickly, and there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to sustain that work or activity level for a very long period of time. I'll find myself having to rest often. And again, maybe not even being able to tackle the challenge, because our cardiovascular health is super important when it comes to things like hiking and biking and even walking long distances as we get older. We need to have that good, strong cardiovascular health. And we need to remember that even if you can go hike that mountain now, you're 45, you're 50 years old, you can go hike the mountain now. Remember, there's going to inevitably be a natural decline in your ability. No matter how healthy you are right now, it is going to decline. Even if you don't have disease, even if you don't have any sicknesses, it's just going to naturally decline, right? So what we want to do at our younger ages, when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, we want to make a goal to not just be healthy for the age span that we're in. We want to have good health scores for the decade before us. So basically, look at it like this. The higher you are now, the higher you'll be later, even after that drop-off, that natural drop-off. But if you're low now, you're going to be super low as you drop off with age. So we want to set our bar high so that we're able to maintain that health span for as long as possible. So the last one we're going to hit on, and you guys knew this was coming, it's our strength and resistance training. Basically, our muscle health. And in many ways, your muscle health is dependent on the health of those other systems, of the things we've been talking about. Your organs need to be healthy so that they're delivering the nutrients and the energy to the muscles. Your joints need to be healthy so that you're able to move and exercise and use those muscles. Your balance and stability, your cardio, all of those things matter, right? And so often, and again, I've been guilty of this, we look at strictly the strength piece. I want to be strong. I want to be muscular. I want to be able to lift heavy things, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a part of it, but it's not all of it. That's not what it means strictly to be healthy. But that being said, the muscular system of the body is super important. It basically acts as an exoskeleton, if you think about it. Because what it does, it protects your joints and bones. It protects your internal organs. It helps you sustain posture. It protects you against injury. It does a lot more than just look good and let you lift things. It's an important part of the body and its design. So making sure we are training it and becoming strong and healthy is very important. Something for you to keep in mind, even if you're an older guy, resistance training is not just for the young, not just for the bodybuilder or the gym rat or the beach goer. Resistance training is for all ages. There's a misconception that once you reach a certain age, you cannot build muscle any longer. And that is simply just not true. Studies have proven that even in old age, new muscle can be built. Now, will it be a little harder to do? Yes. And you may have to eat differently? Yes, absolutely. But it can happen. So the point is, resistance training is for all ages. Now, again, I'm going to say this over and over. Consult your physician. Don't just jump into a resistance training program without any thought and hope for the best. You need to be careful about that. You don't want to hurt yourself and end up in a worse position than you are. But resistance training has a place at all ages in life. And it does a lot of important things. Again, it's not just about getting stronger. That is a part of it. And that's a really important part, because the stronger we are, the more stable we are, the more force we have. And it's just better for us in our health. But that's not the only thing that it gives us. It provides better stability the stronger we are, especially in your core, in your hips. If you got power in your hips and strength in that core, you're going to be more stable. It's going to protect you against injury. It's going to actually help you have stronger bones as well. It's called bone recycling. You may have heard about this before, but bones grow when they're put under stress. So as you work, your bone is actually getting denser. When you work out, when you lift those heavy weights, it gets denser. And even in walking and running, things like that also create bone recycling. And what this does is it helps battle against osteopenia. And that's the age-related bone loss, bone density loss that happens naturally, but can also lead to osteoporosis, which is when bones become brittle because they've lost that density. So when you work out, when you lift weights, you're actually causing the bone to become more dense and more stable. So again, just another great benefit of resistance training. And the final one that I'll mention here is it helps battle sarcopenia. The sarcopenia is, again, age-related, but this is muscle loss rather than bone loss. So age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, as you work out, again, naturally, we are going to lose muscle mass as we age. Beginning around the age of 30, you're going to lose a percentage of muscle mass every year until the end, unless you do something about it. If you're working out, you're slowing that. You're building muscle rather than losing muscle. But if you're if you're sitting on the couch, if you go to work, you're sitting at your desk all day staring at a computer, you walk to your car or you take public transportation, you get back to the house, you cram some food in your face, and then you sit on the couch and watch TV till it's bedtime. Guys, that's just not going to work. We need to be working our body. Things have changed so much culturally from where they were, 200 years ago for sure, where there was just it was a much more physical environment. We were working harder. We were using hand tools. We were working much harder than we have to necessarily work today. Not that it doesn't exist today, but it's just not as prevalent. So we have to be intentional with our training. We have to make sure we are lifting heavy things. We are working out. And again, I want to make sure you understand this. Lifting weights. I'm not just talking about doing an exercise bike when you're in older age. I'm talking about lifting weights. I'm talking about dumbbells, free weights if you can. If those are out of the question, if you don't feel comfortable with free weights, machines, join a local gym and let the trainer there teach you how to use the machines and just be able to grow. Now, I would say this, if you feel like you need to start on the machines, great. Again, work with somebody to educate you on how to do that. But you will find, or the typical person, I'm not going to say you specifically because I don't know you, but typically a person will find that if they're using free weights, that it's going to help more. It's going to help develop that balance better. It's going to develop that core better, because what it's causing you to do when you use free weights, you're having to brace your body yourself. So if you think about, you're standing in the gym and you've got a dumbbell in each hand and you're doing single arm dumbbell curls, right? So you're taking one dumbbell, you're curling it up towards your body, then you're doing the other one, kind of alternating arms, right? So as you do that, you're having to maintain your balance, you're having to maintain your posture. So you're not only working the bicep, you're also secondary, you're working the core, you're getting stronger there, you're working on your balance and stability. If you're doing the same basic exercise in a machine, it's still good. You're still working the bicep. It's definitely better than nothing. But the machine is then bringing the stability. You're not having to use those secondary muscles as much. So there is a lot of benefit to free weight training if you are able to do it. Again, that may not be you. That may not be what's right for you at this moment. So check into that. Let a professional help you with that to see if that's the best decision. Strength resistance training is very important and is good for all ages. If you haven't started yet and you're older, again, would encourage you to look into it, consult your physician, talk to a professional, and see if it's the right time for you to start. Obviously, guys, if you're young and you're listening to this, get into it early. If you could start a program early and do it throughout your entire adult life, obviously that's going to be a lot better. You're going to be ahead of the game. It's just like investing, right? If you start investing early in life, in your 20s, man, you can just take $100 a month or $200 a month, and you do that for your entire life. You're going to be a millionaire most likely when you retire. Now, you can start investing late in life, but you're going to have to work a lot harder to end up with the same amount of money. So same thing, same principle applies for our health. If we start early, eating right, working out, taking care of our bodies, then we're going to be way ahead of the game. We're going to have healthy bodies, enjoy a healthy lifestyle throughout our adulthood and into our later years. Whereas someone who starts later, it's not over for them. There's still hope, right? We can still start late in life and develop healthy habits and get healthy, but it's just going to take more work because we tend to get set in our ways. It can become more difficult to create those new patterns. But sometimes, something happens and we're just like, you know what, I need to change. You get that report that says, hey, bud, your heart's not looking so great, or your blood pressure's through the roof, or, whatever it is. And you're like, oh boy, this isn't good. I need to make some changes. So maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe that's what you've heard. And maybe that's why you're listening to this. You came across this podcast and you're interested in, how can I improve my health? Well, it takes different things for different people. So if that's where you are, hey man, congratulations for listening. This could be the beginning of a new path for you. So good on you, mate. Get to it and make some healthy changes. Impacts of low muscle strength. What happens when we're older, when we're in our 70s, 80s, 90s, and we don't have muscle strength anymore? What's that look like? Well, let's go back to the hiking example one more time. it's going to be more difficult. You don't have that leg strength. You don't have the quads, the hams, the calves to help you climb that mountain. If you're carrying a pack, when you were 20, 30, 40, it might have felt like nothing. Now, because you've lost so much of that muscle mass that's depleted or gone down, it's going to be so much harder to do that. So it's really important. It will catch up with us. We need that. And it's also going to increase the likelihood of injury when you don't have that muscle mass basically protecting you. Again, protecting the joints and the organs and keeping your posture correct. It's just a dangerous way to live, guys. We were designed with muscle for a reason. And it's not just so we can look good. It serves a purpose. So we want to use it. We want to train it because that's going to keep us safer and healthier longer. These are just a few of the things, guys. So we're going to come back over the next few weeks. We're going to be looking at more in depth into these areas. We're also going to be looking at the effects of mental, being healthy mentally, being healthy spiritually. We're going to be looking at all of those details because we need to be intentional with this. We talk about a lot of different things on this podcast about how we can be intentional. We talk about being an intentional dad and being intentional with our careers and being men of integrity and all of these things. But we need to also be intentional with all areas of our health. If you have any questions about anything I've said today, again, I am not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional. I am a certified personal trainer. That and about $5 will get you a coffee somewhere. But I did study that. I'm very interested in personal training and how we can improve our health and how I can help others be more healthy. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them as good as I can or point you in the right direction towards someone who may be able to answer better than I. So if you have questions, shoot me an email. You can email me at theintentionalmanpodcast@mententional.com, and I would love to connect with you there. Or you can even respond to this podcast, leave me a message on the podcast, and I'll do my best to get back to you pretty quickly. So thank you guys for listening. I look forward to catching up with you in future episodes. And until then, hey, be intentional and stay healthy. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Intentional Man Podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us, give us a 5-star rating, and share the podcast with a man you think may enjoy it. If you'd like to contact us, you can email us at theintentionalmanpodcast@mententional.org. For more information about our show topics, visit us online at www.mententional.org. We hope you have a great week, and remember, guys, choose to be intentional.